by Ari Posner and Ian Lafitte.
FM in Winnipeg.
New this month on CBC Gem.
You're trending.
Fantastic.
You retweeted a white supremacist.
Retweeted a what?
An author goes viral and is hit with a major plot twist, a son he never knew.
I'm on a quest to understand who I am and where I come from.
Now they're both on a journey to find themselves.
Our beloved children's author getting to know his long-lost autistic son.
There could be a book in it.
Could be a documentary.
The heartwarming series, Austin. Watch free on CBC Gem.
You know the feeling of finding a really good podcast? Or the feeling of someone always being there, like your favorite radio show? Stream CBC Podcasts, CBC Music, and CBC Radio anytime, anywhere. Download the CBC...
This is CBC News. At 12 o'clock, we're at 4 degrees with mainly sunny skies over downtown Winnipeg. Good afternoon, I'm Matt Humphrey. New court documents have emerged about an alleged human trafficking case resulting in the deaths of a family from India. The family of 4 froze to death while trying to walk across the Canada-U.S. border in frigid temperatures in January 2 years ago. The CBC's Alana Cole has your details.
The documents include messages between the two accused, Harsh Kumar Patel and Steve Shand, that show they were aware of the dangers of the cold that day. In one exchange, the court documents say the night before the Patel family was found, Shand forwarded the other accused a screenshot of a blizzard warning he received, saying, "Make sure everyone is dressed for the blizzard conditions, please." It also says he sent videos of the blizzard conditions. Court documents allege that between December 2021 and January 19, 2022, dozens of people were smuggled across the Canada-U.S. border in a large human smuggling operation. The documents say Patel and Shand were involved in cases of people crossing from Manitoba to Minnesota. The two have pleaded not guilty. The trial is expected to last 5 days. Alana Cole, CBC News, Winnipeg.
There's a new update today on the state of the Canadian economy, and it's showing the country's gross domestic product remained essentially unchanged over the summer. Statistics Canada says GDP was up by just 0.1% in August, which is where it was in July. Peter Armstrong explains.
Sometimes we get these GDP numbers and they tell us a clear story, up or down. They paint a picture of what's going on in the economy right across the country. Sometimes, though, we get numbers like we got today. Economic growth is flat. GDP expanded by precisely 0% in August. That puts the annualized rate of GDP expansion at a mere 1%, well below the Bank of Canada's forecast. But there are some oddities in this that make it a touch less clear than we might have initially expected. First, the labor disruptions in the rail industry in August, they dragged down overall growth. Another is that in spite of the flatness of the growth, 12 out of 20 sectors actually expanded in August. So it is something of a mixed bag, largely on target with what economists had been expecting, but yet one more economic indicator that comes in as a kind of murky picture of an economy still stuck in the mud. Peter Armstrong, CBC News, Toronto.
As of today, more than 1 million Canadians have seen a dentist through the new dental care program. The federal government says on average it's saved each patient $730. And while the number of patients is growing, so too is the number of participating dentists and hygienists. Here's Federal Health Minister Mark Holland.
89% of oral health professionals are now participating. That's 22,300 professionals who are connecting people to care.
Holland says starting tomorrow, patients can begin the pre-approval process for more complex dental procedures like crowns. The number of people coming forward with complaints about the late Mohammed Al-Fayed continues to grow. Last month it was 20, now it's 400. Most are women, accusing the former Harrods owner of sexual misconduct. And some of the accusations are coming from outside the luxury department store. One is from Ronnie Gibbons, the former captain of Fulham FC Women, a team once owned by the Harrods owner.
I know we are making it easier for others to speak up. I wish I had the same support system when I went through what I did. I'm a parent now. One of the main reasons I'm doing this is to make a better world for my child and future generations.
Lawyers representing a group called Justice for Herod's Survivors say they've started initial legal proceedings. One of the 3 tobacco companies involved in a lengthy Canadian lawsuit says it opposes a proposed multi-million-dollar settlement announced earlier this month. JTI McDonald says there are outstanding issues in the case that still need to be resolved. The proposal would see the companies, including Rothmans, Benson and Hedges, and Imperial Tobacco, pay out $24 billion to the provinces and territories. Another $4 billion would go to tens of thousands of Quebec smokers and their families. Russia has fined Google 2 undecillion rubles. That's a 2 followed by 36 zeros. A Russian court imposed the fine on Google for restricting Russian state media channels on YouTube. The penalty is actually greater than the whole world's GDP. Russia's state news agency says the fine is so large because it doubles every day it is not paid. And finally, spooky henna, scary saris, and traditional ghost treats. Diwali, also known as the Festival of Light, will light up the skies tonight on the same night as Halloween. Shilpa Shulpara is embracing both.
Half of my house is all lit up with like beautiful lights. And then on the other side, there's a spooky inflatables and red color lighting on the other half of my house. So it looks very different this time. But it is very fun to see both the things all together.
Diwali is one of the most important festivals of the year in India and is celebrated by more than 1 billion people across a number of faiths. Looking at the weather, mainly cloudy today, a high around 8 degrees in Winnipeg. Brandon, a high of 6, mainly cloudy. Dauphin, mainly cloudy, a high of 6. In Flin Flon, a high of -2 and mainly sunny. Thompson, a high of -5 and mainly sunny. And still a strong wind in Churchill today, a high around -5 with a chance of flurries on the bay. You're listening to CBC.
Good afternoon and welcome to Radio Noon, the Halloween edition. Bring on the little packs of Twizzlers, the little things of jujubes, the full-size chocolate bars, the bags of chips, the tins of pop. Delightful dinner for all those kids running around screaming with sugar. So that's today on the show. We're going to have a bit of that. But also because of Halloween, we can't let this spooky season go by without talking about Halloween movies, scary ones like The Exorcist or silly ones like The Addams Family. And we want to hear from you. Are you a fan of Halloween flicks? What's your favorite and why? That's our call-in conversation coming up, 780-0893. But first, if you're driving tonight, don't be scared, be vigilant, because the streets are hopping with excited kids. You're listening to Radio Noon. It is 7 minutes after 12 o'clock. I'm Laurie Hoogstraten. Well, as I maybe indicated, Halloween is about candy. But to get to those treats, kids dash from house to house. They're zooming through yards. They cut quickly across the lanes and streets. And sometimes they aren't paying attention to traffic. That's why it's important for motorists to stay alert. Ewald Friesen is the manager of government and community relations with CAA Manitoba, and he joins me now. Hello.
Hi, Laurie. Thanks for having me again.
Well, it's great to have you in the studio. So tell me, Ewald, just how busy do the streets get on Halloween in Manitoba?
Okay, perfect. So according to Statistics Canada, children between the ages of 4 and 14, obviously the prime trick-or-treating cohort, we're going to have over 4 million of them out there on our streets from coast to coast to coast. That's a huge number.
Yeah.
Also, we know from historical data, this is the single most dangerous day to be a child when it comes to traffic safety.
Really?
Yes, in the calendar year. So there's a lot we can do to enhance safety out there for kids. And there's a lot we can do as parents and guardians to make sure that we're not driving erratically.
Sure. Well, I've got a bunch of questions for you. One of them, though, just occurred to me is, like, I've heard of people putting their kids in cars and going from neighborhood to neighborhood. Is that a factor at all? Does that increase, actual motorists on the road, let alone children running around?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, because of trick-or-treating, we do have increases in traffic, especially in residential areas, which is one of the challenges.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the kids first. What can they do to make sure they're more visible to motorists?
Okay, so here's the one that's always a bit of a bummer if you want to be a scary vampire or a scary ghost of some kind. Glow sticks. Glow sticks and reflector tags are increasingly popular, and they work. So maybe put safety first. I know we all want to be scary, and if it clashes a bit, maybe give a little nod to a safe Halloween with those glow sticks. Another thing that we're advocating for is, in the past, you might be used to wearing a plastic mask. I remember being a kid and getting a $3 mask and running around, but these have the effect of actually narrowing your vision when you're out there, and you really want your peripheral vision if you're in a residential area with lots of cars and lots of kids and lots of hazards. So what we're saying this year is consider this to be the year of makeup. So try to apply your mask with makeup this time around. Another thing you can do is, of course, move in a group and stay with your group. This is one of the easiest and safest things you can do. Show extra vigilance around crossing an intersection. So there are approximately 500 pedestrian deaths every year in Canada. 1 in 5 of these happen at an intersection. So with more cars, more traffic, and more kids, pay special attention to those intersections when crossing. Use the sidewalk, of course. If let's say you don't have kids, but you love trick-or-treating, if you're an aunt or an uncle like me, and you just want to get a piece of the action, today's the day to step up, to offer your services, to provide some extra eyes on the road and do a little chaperoning. Those are great ways to improve safety.
And lots, I would say, especially with older kids, I don't know if you can sort of suggest costumes that are more reflective, like a ghost or the makeup or something, where they're not supervised necessarily because they're old enough to run around up and down the street by themselves. But if they, as you say, if the costume from the get-go is more reflective and doesn't restrict your vision, it's kind of a good thing. Yeah,
and there's a direct correlation between the color of your clothing and the degree of your safety. That's something to bear in mind. So it's always, being a sparkly, well-lit unicorn would be an excellent safety tip from your friends at CAA this year.
Okay, sparkly unicorn.
Yes, with lots of lights. Decorate your children like a Christmas tree.
All right. So what about, what do motorists need to think about?
Okay, so this one's going out to all those folks who can drive. One of the best things you can do is, of course, watch your speed. We don't know where where our kids are going to pop out. So reduce your speed, pay attention to the signs, maybe even go a bit slower. One of the best things you can do is pop those headlights on a half hour before sunset to increase your visibility. We also know that Halloween is a night where a lot of folks like to have a bit of fun. Some folks like to consume cannabis or they like to consume alcohol. Tonight's not the night to get behind the wheel. Consider using these things at home and the safety of your home, or, of course, getting a designated driver or arranging for different forms of transportation to get home safely. There's also plan your route. This is one that we don't talk about a lot. It's just as easy as telling your trick-or-treaters, hey, we're going to meet you at the end of the street. How about we meet you there? We'll be in sight the whole time. This is an excellent thing for drivers to do.
Okay. So the kids can stay safe with more visible costumes, and the drivers can be vigilant, as we said. And what about kids running out between parked cars and that kind of thing? That must be.
Yeah, absolutely. And basically bet on it. It'll happen if you're in a residential area, especially one that's attractive to trick-or-treaters.
Sure.
Sometimes, going to a more candy lucrative neighborhood.
Yeah.
We used to do that.
Of course.
So obviously you have this sort of crush of kids and traffic in an area where that's maybe not used to it.
Yeah.
So the popping out is definitely a problem.
Well, luckily no snow this season, so people won't have to slam on the brakes and skid and so on. And you mentioned that you like to get in on the Halloween action. What are you giving out at your house?
This year, actually, I'll be hanging out as an uncle. I'll be hanging out with my sister to see what she gives out this year. I just tag along for the ride and then vanish like so many good uncles from time immemorial.
It's the ghostly thing going on. And before I let you go, I want to ask you, and not to ambush you, but our call-in today is about scary Halloween movies. We want people to give us a call about what's the scariest or the silliest or whatever. Do you have a scary movie?
I would like to say Sleepy Hollow. I love the aesthetic.
Oh, yeah.
It's creepy. It's autumn. But I have to say, honestly, the scariest movie I ever saw was when my partner and I accidentally found ourselves in the theater taking in the movie The Grudge. I'm still mortified, and it was a very bizarre scene when the entire audience didn't leave. They just sat there wiping away tears, and then slowly left as a group. So I think the Grudge franchise is in part 97 at this point. So for folks who don't like horror movies, I would not recommend this. For folks who do, you can't find a better film.
Okay, well, Avold has thrown down the gauntlet. We want our listeners after the 12:30 news to let us know what their scariest movies are. But thank you very much, Avold, for coming in and reminding us of how to stay safe this Halloween.
My pleasure. And remember, Halloween is a fun night, but we can do it safely. So have fun out there.
Thank you. Bye-bye. That's Avold Friesen. He is the Government and Community Relations Manager for CAA Manitoba.
Your neighborhood, your community, your country, your world, your news that matters, news that belongs to you. Your World Tonight, every night, 7 days a week on CBC Radio 1, on demand on the CBC Listen app, and everywhere you get your podcasts.
You're listening to Radio Noon. I'm Laurie Hoogstraten. You're at 89.3 FM, 990 AM. Want to remind you that today on our call-in, the conversation is all about our favorite Halloween movies and why we love them. Or maybe you don't like Halloween scary movies at all. So we're talking about movies that can be terrifying or just silly. So give us a call from Dracula to Carrie, as long as it's scary or hilarious. 204-780-0893. And taking a look at Riley's forecast, it's setting up to be a spooky evening, Riley says. Cloudy and cool and sunnier tomorrow. Looks like we'll have a rainy Sunday, though. Today in Winnipeg, looking for highs of 6 degrees and down to -2 tonight. And on Friday, 6 again. And the weekend looks not bad. 8s on Saturday and Sunday, and Monday, 6 degrees. So I guess that's what Riley will tell us is seasonal. And taking a look at some of the temperatures around the province right now. In Brandon, it's 2 degrees. In Churchill, it's -7. In Dauphin, it's 0. Gimli is 1. The Paw reporting -5. In Thompson, it's a chilly -11. Winnipeg, it's 1 degree. But for all the trick-or-treaters out there, you might have to put a jacket on over your costume, but you won't need like a full-on parka. It's not that bad. It's going to be kind of good, and you get all hot running around the streets. You can go back and refill your bags because it won't be too chilly to stay out there for a long time. This just in. Your chances of surviving a tiger attack or a rampaging rhino are way better in Brandon than in Africa. Well, that's because in Brandon, the experience is an illusion, though the adrenaline rush is real when you visit the Brandon Hologram Zoo. It's the first one in North America. In fact, it's the first one in the world outside of Australia, where it originated. Pop on a pair of special glasses and get ready to confront a variety of fabulous beasts and exotic environments, past and present. And to find out more, we've reached Darcy Willey. He's the owner of the Brandon Family Entertainment Center Next Gen, which is soft launching the zoo. So, Darcy, how does a hologram zoo work? What is it?
The Hologram Zoo is a series of enclosures and tunnels that you walk through. You wear 3D glasses, and with the 3D glasses, it allows the images to actually fully come out of the screen, kind of in a 3D manner, but not at all. It's more of a hologram. So the animals and images and stuff are come out your screen anywhere, 5 to 8 feet type thing. So when you're walking through our tunnels and stuff, and it's raining inside the zoo, it actually feels like it's raining because it's pretty much raining all around you the way that the technology works. It gives you the depth perception that it's actually about a mile deep. So it actually makes it look real. We've got some with like aquariums where there's sharks swimming and stuff, and it really appears to be quite deep, and it kind of gives the depth to give you a more realistic feeling of where you would actually be. So you'd actually go through this tunnel and you kind of go around a corner, and they have some enclosures that are 20 feet wide, 10 by 20, and they are more of an outdoor enclosure. So you've got animals coming up through the ground. We've got spiders that kind of come up and jump at you. We've got alligators, depending on the zoo that you're watching. So there's another area that has they're called outdoor enclosures. And as you continue around the area, there's another area called a sky roof, and it appears as though dinosaurs are walking above you, and it's got all sound and speakers and stuff, so it kind of gives a little bit of realism. But with these screens and these 3D glasses, it gives you a very good idea of the depth, and it appears that the screens just kind of keep on going and feel more real life.
Wow. So where did you get the idea?
The company is called Axiom Holographics. They're based out of Australia. And it just happened that the rep for the company lives in Brandon. So I currently was running a kid playland per se for the last about 8 years, and I was looking for something different. And this gentleman actually kind of got a hold of me and said, "Hey, your building size and location would be great for one of these zoos." So I kind of bypassed it a little bit at the start, and I kind of was just, well, it seems kind of too good to be true. There is no more of these pretty much outside of Australia. So nobody had really done it or tried it or tested it. So it was kind of a decision we had to make to decide if we were going to be kind of the first ones. So after I researched it quite a bit and spoke with the guy that actually is kind of handling most of North America for the rep, I decided to pull the trigger. And as I did, and I kept getting more information, it kind of secured my own mind of why I chose it. So it worked out that we're not only the first in North America for this exact setup, we're the first in the world outside of Australia.
Wow.
So it was a chance for us to kind of put Brandon a little bit more on the map and have something completely different that no other cities or countries, I guess, could compete with. Just it's the newest technology that they got, and it just turned out really well that the guy lived in Brandon, and I was able to remodel my current business, did a little bit of an expansion and moved some stuff around and upgraded it quite a bit, and now we're North America's essentially first hologram zoo.
Gee, what was it like when you tried it?
When they were doing the installation, it took a few weeks. Some guys from Australia actually flew in and they were setting it up for the first time. And once I first tried it, it was really cool. We've got a virtual reality in our current location. We're the only virtual reality also in Brandon and area. So I had a general idea of the capabilities of what it is, but as soon as I was able to put on the glasses and kind of do a test run, it was really cool. It was definitely different, something I'd never seen before, and pretty much exactly what I envisioned it to be. So it worked out really well.
So were you scared?
No, it's there's a few spots in a few of the different zoos. We're currently running Africa, and then we've also got dinosaurs as a zoo. I've been able to see a bunch of the upcoming zoos that I will be featuring, and there's definitely kids that are jumping back and kind of, it does appear very real. So not really scary as an adult, but you definitely step back a second because it does seem very, very real, quite unique anyway.
So is there a bit of a buzz around Brandon? I know it's not officially open yet, but you're taking bookings. What are you hearing?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, we've had a bunch of groups. I was able to reach out to a few schools and some people that I knew in our school division here. And so my daughter's kindergarten class got to do a kind of a sneak peek, and they did a tour. And then since then, we've had another school bring 3 or 4 groups through just to kind of get the get the idea of what it is out there and get some kids excited. And everything has been absolutely amazing reviews. Everybody's happy. We've already, we're somewhat open now. So we do accept walk-ins. So the buzz has been really good and the reviews have been excellent.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun and another great example of Brandon enterprise. So thank you very much for being with us, Darcy.
You betcha. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye. Darcy Willey owns Gen X in Brandon, the business behind the city's new Hologram Zoo. And the official opening is still not pinned down, but they are taking bookings, as Darcy was saying. Check out their Facebook page for updates or go to gennext.ca.
Hi, I'm Sarocha Coelho, host of the Saturday afternoon call-in show Just Asking, now expanding to 2 hours.
And I'm Ian Hannamansing, host of the Sunday afternoon call-in show Cross Country Checkup.
Whether it's world events
or what's happening in your backyard,
every weekend we connect Canada live.
That's Just Asking with Sarocha Coelho, Saturday afternoons at 4 Eastern.
And Cross Country Checkup with Ian Hannamansing, Sunday afternoons at 4 Eastern on CBC Radio 1.
You're listening to Radio Noon at 24 minutes after 12 o'clock. Throughout her self-taught musical journey, Raven Reed learned a lot about songwriting from Johnny Cash, and Cash just happens to be the subject of the first single off her new album. Here is Raven Reed with A Johnny Cash Night.
This feels like a Johnny Cash night, drinking whiskey, it's got that dark bite. Storms rolling into town and winds blowing just right. Oh, it's a Johnny Cash night. Got my steel-toed boots on, tequila going down wrong. Oh, I don't see red tonight. Put those country tunes on, oh, Billy makes it right. This feels like the Johnny Cash night, drinking whiskey, it's got that dark bite. Storms rolling into town and winds blowing just right. Oh, it's a Johnny Cash Listen to Waylon and Steve Earle. Got into a bar fight because he hit a girl. Oh, don't know where this night will end, but I drank till the morning came This feels like the Johnny Cash night, drinking whiskey, it's got that dark bite. Storms rolling into town and winds blowing just right. Oh, it's a Johnny Cash
Out of Yellowknife, that was Raven Reed with A Johnny Cash Night. Well, as recently as 2022, billionaire Elon Musk was saying that Donald Trump should, quote, hang up his hat and sail into the sunset. But in recent months, Musk has become one of the most influential supporters of Trump's re-election campaign. He's appeared at rallies and spent millions of his own dollars in funding. Trisha Thadani is a technology reporter for The Washington Post who's been covering Musk for a long time. She spoke with Front Burner host Jamie Poisson about what Musk has to gain from a Trump presidency.
As we know, Trump is an incredibly transactional person and was an incredibly transactional president. And so for Musk, someone who has these tremendous contracts with the federal government, with SpaceX, his rocket company, and Starlink, his satellite internet company, he's got a lot at stake with the federal government. And that's also not to mention his latest venture with his electric vehicle company, Tesla, which has had a hard time under the Biden administration. There's been investigations, there's been recalls, and now he's also really staked the future of his company on creating the so-called robo-taxi. And ahead, under the current administration, there would be a lot of regulatory hurdles in order for him to do that. And Musk has gone as far to say that if there are regulatory hurdles, he would be sure that this so-called efficiency commission that Trump has said that he would appoint Musk to serve on would ensure that there was a smooth path for this venture.
Right.
Yeah, overall, there's also ego tied up into it. Musk is somebody who likes to have his name in front of things. So it's also a vanity contest here.
That was Washington Post reporter Tricia Thadani on Front Burner, and you can listen to the full conversation wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Radio Noon, and I want to remind you to give us a call after the 12:30 news because we want to know all about your favorite Halloween movies, why you love to be scared or why you don't love to be scared. What's the scariest movie you ever saw? What's your favorite? Give us a call at 204-780-0893 after the 12:30 news because it is Halloween. Movies are scary. Boy, I remember seeing The Exorcist. Ugh. I couldn't iron for months because my iron made the same noise as The Exorcist. The news is next.
This is CBC News. At 12:30, we're at 5 degrees with mainly sunny skies over downtown Winnipeg. Good afternoon, I'm Matt Humphrey. New court documents have emerged about an alleged human trafficking case resulting in the deaths of a family from India. The family of 4 froze to death while trying to walk across the Canada-U.S. border in frigid temperatures in January of 2022. The documents include messages between the 2 accused, Harsh Kumar Patel and Steve Shand, showing they were aware of the dangers of the cold that day and even sent messages discussing blizzard conditions. Court documents allege between December 2021 and January of the next year, dozens of people were smuggled across the border in a large human smuggling operation. The documents say Patel and Shand were involved in cases of people crossing from Manitoba to Minnesota. The 2 have pleaded not guilty. The trial is expected to last 5 days. Manitoba Hydro says there was a serious incident this morning when a person made contact with electrical equipment in the neighborhood of Rossmere. It happened around 9:45 this morning outside 615 Kimberley Avenue. There's no word on the extent of the injuries. Hydro says crews are on site to make sure there's no ongoing risk to people at this time. And finally, as you've been hearing with the clock ticking down on the U.S. presidential election campaign, the focus for both parties is on the key battleground states. And for Donald Trump, this final push includes a new message. Karen Pauls explains.
Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump held competing rallies in Wisconsin where the race is very close. Always the showman, Trump showed up on a garbage truck wearing an orange safety vest, capitalizing on President Joe Biden appearing to call Trump supporters garbage. Biden says he was criticizing one comedian who described Puerto Rico as a floating island of garbage at a Trump rally on Sunday. Trump doesn't buy that.
Crooked Joe Biden finally said what he and Kamala really think of our supporters. He called them garbage. No way.
Harris is distancing herself from the Biden comment, saying she doesn't insult people based on who they vote for. And also of interest today, Trump supporter Elon Musk has been ordered to appear in a Pennsylvania court over his $1 million cash giveaways to registered voters in swing states. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Washington.
And that is your CBC News from Winnipeg. For news anytime, you can head to our website, cbc.ca/Manitoba, or you can use the CBC News app.
Thanks very much, Matt.
My pleasure.
And before I let you go, maybe you heard me saying that we're going to be talking about scary movies.
Horror films.
Yeah, want people to phone in.
Why are we doing that today again?
Oh, I don't know. There's just nothing we could think of, so we thought Halloween,
You were talking about The Exorcist.
Yeah.
That is still absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even now, how many years later? 50?
No, I think only about 10. No. do you have one? What's your scariest?
Anything by Ari Aster or Robert Eggers is going to be worth a watch. And that's I really hope people take a look. So Ari's got Hereditary. I really like horror movies. Ari's got Hereditary, which is, it's up there. It's like ranked after The Exorcist is probably the scariest movie ever made. And it's real. It's real scary. There's and it's like so many good horror films or films. There's an associated sound or phrase or there's something that, and this one is, and that is used to very terrifying effect, that noise.
Okay, I'll watch for that now.
And then the other one, Robert Eggers, he does movies like The Witch with Anna Taylor-Joy. So they're really slow and drawn out, and it uses an orchestral score to really emphasize horror. So it's not jump scares, which is why it's so scary. There's not things jumping out at you. It's more of a slow burning, this is true horror, what is happening on screen.
Well, duly
so watch
noted.
The Witch, watch The Lighthouse, watch Hereditary, watch Midsommar.
Okay.
Midsommar.
Boo.
Yeah, thank you. Back soon. Boo soon.
Okay, thanks, Matt. That's Matt Humphrey with the news. And now I welcome Riley Lachuk to the studio. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot, too. Do you have a scary movie?
I'm not a fan of the horror.
Yeah.
I don't like the scariness. If I had to, I'd probably pick something from the Scream series. Those are particularly gory. Don't really like them. But
if pressed.
We were talking about on the 6 o'clock show last night, Snakes on a Plane.
Oh.
Also not my cup of tea, but here we are.
Here we are. All right. On to the forecast.
Yeah. And a small ask for our loyal audience. I'm hoping to get a whole bunch of your pets and costumes to show on the show tonight, if we can. I've got many already, but I could always use more. Talk back at cbc.ca. Don't forget to tell me who you are, where you took them, and who and which pet of yours, I
guess.
And
what is that under the costume?
Yeah, exactly. So I would love to see from all corners of the province if we can get some, and I'll show them tonight at 6.
Okay.
For Halloween.
It's out there.
Let's get into the forecast. We'll start with trick-or-treating because I know a lot of folks preparing to head out tonight with the kids, or maybe you're handing out candy tonight as well. We're looking at 3 degrees, mainly cloudy skies in Winnipeg by the time we hit around the supper hour. So there'll be a good layer of cloud out there. Maybe see some peaks of clear sky through the later evening, but expect a bit of a cooler one. More seasonal for this time of the year, but cooler than we are used to that we've seen over the past several weeks. So just keep that in mind. Right now, temperatures pretty seasonal in southern Manitoba. 5 degrees in Winnipeg, 4 in Brandon. Dauphin's at 3 right now. -7 in Thompson. We're seeing a bit of a cooler air mass in parts of the north. -7 in Churchill, and Tuduli Lake sitting at -10 right now. So we are seeing some cooler weather to the north. Bit of clouds through southern Manitoba. Radar is picking up a little bit of stray flurry activity south of the border into North Dakota. Slim chance you could see maybe a couple of snowflakes in places like, say, Emerson, or even as far west as Morden through the afternoon. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, we're under a mainly cloudy air mass for the rest of the day in the south, mostly sunny in the north, and we kind of keep the clouds to start Friday, and then we clear out. So by afternoon, starting to see some clearing in Winnipeg, and really a bit of a brighter day for most of us tomorrow. Looking at a high of 6 in Winnipeg, could top 7 though. So I'm keeping it at 6 for now, just because we're under this cloud cover. 7s through the west, -3 in Thompson, -6 in Churchill this afternoon. 6 degrees tomorrow in Winnipeg, 8 for Saturday. Some rain moves in for Sunday. I'm saying about 5 to 10 millimeters at this point. And Monday, we're looking at a few showers in the morning and 6 degrees.
Okay, that sounds
very, very fall, very seasonal.
End of October,
So, yeah,
beginning November.
Exactly.
All right, thanks
You
very
have
much.
to remember that tomorrow's the beginning of November. So.
And don't forget to send some pictures to Riley.
Yeah, exactly. Talk back at cbc.ca, please.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
You're listening to Radio Noon. It's 22 minutes before 1 o'clock. Okay, Halloween. It's that time of the year to be terrified by scary movies. On this spooky edition of our call-in, we want to know, which is your favorite horror flick, the movie that makes you shiver, sweat, laugh or cry as you peek out between your fingers at the screen. Don't go back in the house. The call is coming from upstairs. The chainsaw is ripping. Heart-stopping shocks and buckets of blood. Whatever flavor of scary movies you favor, we want to know. Personally, I'm still getting over the flying monkey scene in The Wizard of Oz, but maybe you're braver than me. Give us a call, 204-780-0893, or you can text me at 204-588-7355. There are no shortage of terrifying horror flicks. Did you ever see Seven?
These things you see.
You have to wear blinders sometimes. Most times. There are 7 deadly sins. Gluttony.
You're going to come take a look at this.
Greed.
No one touches anything.
Sloth. Wrath. Pride. Lust. And envy. 7. You can expect 5 more of these.
Let's finish it. 7.
Okay, I've just crawled out from under the studio desk. Seven released in 1995, and it is one of film critic Rachel Ho's favorite spooky flicks. She joins us now by Zoom from Toronto. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Lori.
So, what is the scariest movie you've ever seen? I'm going to ask our listeners. We want them to tell us what's the one that made you lose some sleep, drop your popcorn, or what was it about a film that scared you so much? Call us at 204-780-0893. So, Rachel, we just heard a bit of the movie Seven, which sounds absolutely terrifying. And what was it about that film that scared you so much?
I was quite young when I watched it. I was probably a bit too young, to be honest, when I watched it. But it just terrified me. And this idea of using the seven
deadly
sins.
sins.
Yeah, everything about it just kind of came together. And then the end, you have Brad Pitt going, "What's in the box?" All of it, it just becomes, it's a lot. And it's still a movie that, even though when I was quite young when I watched it, still terrifies me to this day. I do still watch it, and I think it's an incredible film. I know it's not like Halloweeny, and some would argue maybe it's not a horror movie, but I think it's a horror movie because it scared the life out of me still to this day as a full-grown adult. Still very scary.
Scary equals horror equals scary as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I can't believe that I've seen, and I don't go for horror movies particularly, so I can't believe that I've actually seen one that tops one of the scariest lists, which is The Exorcist, that I actually paid money to go and see that movie. I'm not over it, and I did see it kind of around the time it came out, like 100,000 years ago, and it's still a very scary, like just seeing a picture of it scares me. So
it's an absolutely frightening film. There is a movie called The Sinister, which they say scientifically proven to be the scariest movie of all time. I don't know if I believe in that, but they basically measured the heart rate of people watching a film.
Okay.
And they said that that was the one where the audience, I guess, they were just really close to having cardiac arrest because of the film.
Wow. Well, yeah. Well, tell us about a couple of other super scary ones.
I agree with Ari Aster. I think when we're talking about modern day horror, I think Ari Aster films are really great. Midsommar is one of my all-time favorite. I love folk horror in terms of the kind of horror subgenres. Folk horror is one of my favorites. I love body horror as well. So David Cronenberg, Canadian director. It's incredible. I think he's made some really, really fantastic movies. And I mean, this year there was a great body horror movie called The Substance that came out, and it's caused quite a fright, quite a stir. That one, body horror, really kind of gets to, because it's so gross, and but it's not just gross. It's kind of, it speaks to something beyond just, a cut in the skin or something coming through the body. It's very scary. But possession horror movies like, Exorcist, what you're talking about, the religious stuff, that is terrifying as well, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying.
Well, we want to hear from our listeners. Give us a call and tell us what you think is a really scary or horrific movie. 204-780-0893. And we have Connie on the line. Hi, Connie.
Hi, Lori.
What's your scariest movie?
Okay, a classic that I saw a million years ago, and I still find it very scary. The Birds.
Oh, yeah.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah. A master.
And this time of the year, the birds are amassing and getting together. And it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Are they thinking about pecking holes through the walls of my house?
Yes. Yes, they are. Maybe they are. Yeah, that is a scary one. Yeah. It's still, and it holds up. What was the name of the actress? Tippi Hedren, I think.
Tippi Hedren.
Yeah. And it had that sort of brooding feeling going on throughout the movie. That's a scary one.
And there was actually another one,
Mhm.
which wasn't necessarily supposed to be a horror movie, but it was one that I got to watch in school when I was in grade 2.
Uh-oh.
And we got to watch this movie. So I'm pretty old, so this is quite a while ago. Anyway, we got to watch this movie with the older kids. It was The Last Days of Pompeii.
Oh. With all the lava?
I lived on a farm. I had nightmares about volcanoes exploding in the middle of the night. And actually, those nightmares went on for quite a number of years.
I could see why that would happen. I could see that.
There are some things that children just should not see.
No, at least not in grade 2.
No.
Thanks very much, Connie, for starting the conversation.
Thank you so much.
Great to talk to you. Give us a call, 204-780-0893. Rachel, you were going to say something about the birds?
I was gonna say, anytime I see a line on like a cable, the electric cables, and you see the birds just kind of lined up on top, that always frightens me. And like the bird, I think that movie had a lot to do with that. I think because Hitchcock is, I mean, you can't talk about horror movies or scary movies without Hitchcock, and I think that he kind of laid the groundwork for everything else that would come. But that movie in particular, I'm terrified of birds. I don't know if it's because of that movie or.
Probably.
Scared.
Entire generations are ruined by that movie. Because Hitchcock, he would sort of juxtapose that everything's calm and normal and nice, except for the birds. Well, let's go back to the phone lines. Give us a call, 204-780-0893, and tell us what movie you're scared of. Hello, Cynthia.
Hi, I like The Bad Seed. And they've actually redone that one, and the sequel is equally excellent. And they have a sequel to the new one, and it's more suspense and sort of hidden, setting people on fire, drowning them, whatever. It's really good.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that. Have you seen that, Rachel?
A long time ago. It's got a little girl in it, and little girls in horror movies can be incredibly frightening. And I think, The Bad Seed's a really good example of that. That it's from, what is it from? I think the 50s, is it? It's a very frightening film, though.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, and sometimes a scary movie, as Connie was saying, when you see something when you're in grade 2, that it stays with you forever. I feel that way about The Exorcist, and that could be the case. But as you also point out, there's some pretty good new ones too. So let's get some more opinions on the line, 204-780-0893, and I think we have Giles on the line. Hello, Giles.
Close enough.
Oh, is it Gilles? Sorry.
Gilles, yeah, that's
Gilles,
right.
sorry.
It doesn't matter.
It's the spelling. I blame Corey.
Well, Charles is the English way of saying it.
Okay.
But, anyways, yes, the scariest movie I have personally, in my opinion, seen is The Exorcist. It was really scary. I saw it when it first came out in the early 70s, and again, I think it was re-released in 99. But the first time I saw it, it was with my wife, and she couldn't sleep all night that night. Couldn't. She just kept her up. Second time, I took a couple of my younger nephews with me. And to this day, they said, "Why did you do that?"
Scarred for life.
Yes, scarred for life. They were sinking in their seats when their head was turning around. There was, I've seen a few scary movies in my life, but that one was unbelievable.
And you've seen it twice.
Twice, yeah.
Gilles, you're a brave man.
A grave man or a brave man? I messed up.
Either.
All right.
Either. Thanks very much for calling, Gilles.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Let's go and talk to Lucas. Hello, Lucas. Hello, Lucas. No? Oh, wait. I have to press a little button, do I? Or wait, Corey's doing it for me. In the interim, I will go to Roger. Hi, Roger. Uh-oh, I think we've got the phone lines going strangely. Hello, Roger.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Are you there?
Okay.
Or are you
Yeah.
invisible because it's Halloween?
Well, no, but partially. Partly. Worst movie or scariest movie I saw as a kid was a young kid. I was at the Metropolitan Theater.
Yeah.
Vincent Price, the original movie called A House of Wax.
Oh.
And there was a redo on it, I believe. But if you're about 12 or 13, we were cowering hanging on to each other because the story is where you took an actually human being, murdered him, and then coated them with wax and put them in the museum.
Oh.
That's the theory. So if you were watching it at all, people would disappear and then suddenly they'd show up on display in the museum.
Ew.
And Vincent Price was a master of kind of stuff like that.
He was in a lot of horror movies.
Yeah,
I
he had a
think,
lot of
wasn't he?
stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
And his voice was particularly geared to the horror venue type of thing, and he still does some commercials. And his laughter just makes you worry. Scares the heck out of you. And anyway, that's my story.
Thank you very much, Roger. Thanks for calling.
You bet. Bye now.
Bye now. Well, I think Rachel, if it's okay with you, we'll just stay with our callers and compare notes and
Absolutely.
See what people have to say. I'm going to go to Nancy. Hi, Nancy.
Hello.
Hello. What are you scared of in the movie world?
Well, this movie I think about quite often. It's called The Stepford Wives.
Yes.
And I just looked it up, and it was 2004, and Nicole Kidman was in it, and Glenn Close, and all these quite famous people. And what happened in there was that the husbands were turning the wives into robots with special implants or something.
Prescient, some might say. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And the only one who didn't get turned into was Claire, who apparently was played by Glenn Close.
Oh.
But it was really creepy, and it still creeps me out when I think about it.
Well, thanks for telling us about that. That's fantastic.
Okay, you're welcome.
Sorry, Corey, I didn't hear what you said. Wait, I'm talking to Corey is our director, and he's directing me to line 2. Hello, is that Lucas? Oh, wait, Nick. Corey is repenting. He's saying, no, never mind. I'm seizing control here. I'm going to line 4 and Kevin. Hi, Kevin.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Hi. When I think of Halloween and horror movies, I think of movies that you can watch with the kids, and they don't have to worry about getting freaked out.
Uh-huh.
And you got a whole bunch. You've got the Shrek series. You got Hotel Transylvania series. Ice Age isn't really horror, but it's seeable. And then for the action, then you have The Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse Bride.
Oh, well, that's actually great having that point of view, because it is kind of fun to all be together and watch a scary movie, but where no one has to be hospitalized afterwards, right?
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for calling.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Okay, now I'm going to try Lucas. Hello, Lucas. Okay, I think Corey is playing some kind of Halloween trick on me. Oh, no, there's Lucas. Hello, Lucas.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm
What's a spooky movie that you like to avoid
favorite
or
movie
watch?
of all time, have to watch it every Halloween, is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh.
Classic.
And what's that about?
Yes.
Classic.
Yeah, it's about some ancient alien creature hidden in the ice in Antarctica, and it takes on the form of everyone that it encounters. And there's a great cliffhanger at the end. We don't know what actually happens, if it escapes, if it conquers the world. I think I want to say Kurt Russell. Is that the star in it?
Yeah.
And just the cliffhanger that they leave and the constant suspicion of everybody is such a psychological twist, and you can't trust anyone, right? I think it's a great extrapolation of that kind of anxious horror, and great film.
Oh, thanks for telling us, Lucas. Yeah, I'm going to avoid that one too.
That one's a good one for this time of year, actually, because it's a good winter movie, oddly. It feels very wintry. And so you're going to, it's good for the season transitions, I think, that one.
Well, and I found it interesting, Rachel, everybody who's calling, speaks with such sort of relish of how scary the movie was and stuff. So why do we like scary movies? We'll go back to the callers in just a second, but can you just give us a little insight on that?
I think we just like being frightened, but like controlled frightened. I think that we like to feel that kind of jolt, and we like to feel that kind of pain in a way. I think it's a different type of pain, but it's you experience it within the safety of your home, the safety of a theater, amongst your friends, and I think it's just kind of fun. It's in the same way that we love to laugh when you watch a comedy, you love to cry when you watch, a tragedy.
Something visceral.
I think it's the same thing. You just kind of go on these emotional roller coasters.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I love what Roger was saying about, like things that aren't necessarily scary, but they're spooky and they're good for the whole family. I would add the Addams Family to his list.
Right.
Because I think that's always a great one as well.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, let's go back to the phone lines. Give us a call. We got just a couple minutes left. 204-780-0893. And hello, Jerry.
Hello.
Hello. What are your scary movie picks?
The gruesome one, I think, was The Fly.
Oh, yeah.
Way back in the 90s. And there was the Final Destination series with all kinds of severed heads.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was, of course, Hitchcock's Psycho.
Yes.
And the Scream series. And then also Godfather Part 1, the severed head of the horse in the bed.
Oh, yeah.
I had a tight chest throughout the entire movie after that. That was way back in the 70s, but it was gruesome a la carte.
Yeah. Well, it's just like what Rachel was saying, that we really experience these movies quite physically. So, right. Yeah. Thanks very much for letting us know, Jerry. What scares you? It'll scare us too. Thank you. Oh, and we have a text here from Evelyn. She also says The Birds was a terrifying movie for her. Freaked her out as a kid. Yeah, many people would share that freak out, and now that current, fear of birds. So I want to ask you, Rachel, before I let you go, if you had to name the top 3 scariest movies of all time for you.
For me.
Yeah, what would you say?
I would actually put The Exorcist up there. I think The Exorcist is there. I do think Seven is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. And in third place, I'm going to put Scream, because I remember watching that when I was a teenager, and that absolutely frightened me, and still kind of carries a lot of fun, but frightening fun as well to it. So I'm going to say those 3.
Well, and there's those real vintage ones too, like Rosemary's Baby. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, that one, that's chilling. It's a chilling movie. It's absolutely chilling. Yeah. There's a whole decade of, especially in the 70s, I think there were some really, really great horror movies, scary movies at that time. And I think the 70s movie style then, it really adds to it. Like now it's a bit kind of crisp with all the digital stuff, so it doesn't look as scary in my opinion. I think you need a bit of grit on the screen to make it look scary. But yeah, there are some really great ones in this, like you said, like from 50s, 60s, 70s onwards. I mean, even go back to the silent era. You can look at Nosferatu, which is like a German impressionist silent film. Yeah. That is really frightening. It's an incredibly frightening film.
And what about a new one that some of us might not have seen? A new-ish one.
So the one that this year that I really enjoyed in terms of horror, I really like Longlegs. I know that there was a lot of hype behind it. It was a Nicolas Cage film. And perhaps they overhyped it a little bit too much, but I think that if you take that away, watch it, it's an incredibly disturbing movie. It's very, very uncomfortable to watch, and I love it. But I stay with, Ari Aster, I think right now is probably the master at that type of horror. I think Jordan Peele does a great brand of horror as well. It's a really good time to be a horror fan. I think there's some really, really interesting movies out there right now.
Well, it's been great having you on the show with us and giving us some insight with your comments. So thank you, and come back soon, and don't wait till Halloween.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thanks, Rachel. That's Rachel Ho. She's a film critic and editor at Exclaim magazine and a frequent CBC radio contributor. You're listening to Radio Noon on Halloween. Get your costume on, get outside, trick or treat. You have to be safe, though. Do all those things. It's been a fun conversation hearing about people's scary movies. And so maybe that's something to do tonight after the kids come back in, or even if there aren't any kids, it's just get a nice scary movie and terrify yourself so you don't sleep a single wink until tomorrow. Yeah, those scary movies. Well, thanks very much to Marshall Hodgins and to Corey Funk for directing today, and our YouTube guy, Kevin Nepatebo. And I'll talk to you again tomorrow if I can wake up after lying sleepless from watching the birds tonight. Bye-bye.